All right, 5 more albums to get you deeper into more extreme music. This list is meant to be a progression from the albums on the previous list. So, starting right off, if you enjoyed Death's Human, I'm going to recommend Gorguts, Obscura, Canadian death metal game changers. In the early 90s, they released 2 albums that were great and brutal, but somewhat commonplace for 90s death metal. They were actually dropped by Roadrunner Records after the release of their 1993 album, Erosion of Sanity. However, on 1998's Obscura, with new guitarist Steve Hurdle in the mix, they completely redefined what death metal could be. Labyrinth like technicality, disorienting dissonance, and an atmosphere that few death metal bands have even come close to replicating since this album's release. This is dense, it's perplexing, it's mysterious, the lyrics are fascinating, and to this day, this is my favorite death metal band of all time. Strongly advise this one. This opens the door to brutal and technical death metal. All right, number 2 on this list. If you enjoyed Neurosis's Through Silver and Blood, I'm going to recommend Godflesh's Streetcleaner. There are very few figures in heavy music that can claim that they helped pioneer multiple subgenres. Justin Broderick was a member of Napalm Death during the writing and recording of their landmark grindcore album Scum. With Godflesh, he helps legitimize industrial metal. This was released on Earache Records in 1989, and this album is pure punishment. It has some grinding mechanical drum machine beats, really bass-driven riffs, and bleak, alien-like shouted vocals. This is the best way to get into industrial metal, and in my opinion, still remains the high water mark for this style of music. Classic album. All right, number 3 on this list. If you enjoyed Entombed's Wolverine Blues, I'm going to recommend Bolt Thrower's Those Once Loyal. Bolt Thrower evolved over the course of their career from a more raw, thrash-infused death metal to doomy, groove-heavy, mid-paced death metal. 2005, they released Those Once Loyal. This is their masterpiece. It's much cleaner production, but that allows you to hear every ferocious drum hit, the unmatched riff writing, and some of the best guttural vocals that the genre has to offer. Bolt Thrower remained the best way to get into this classic style of death metal. And although all of their albums are excellent, their 2005 last album is the best way to start. All right, number 4 on this list. If you enjoyed Thou's Heathen, I'm going to recommend Grief Come to Grief, Boston, Massachusetts, doom, sludge metal legends. There's kind of a weird pipeline that goes from crust punk to doom metal. There's a few different bands that have members that have taken this trajectory, and this is former members of crust punk legends Disrupt. So it gives you some of that raw, anguished, pain-soaked vocal style while having some Black Sabbath inspired stoner doom riffs. This album is as much inspirational to doom metal bands in the future as it is to sludge metal. One of the most important doom sludge albums ever, and a great way to get into this more disturbed style of metal. There's a lot of pain at the core of this album, and it's sensational. All right, number 5 on this list. If you enjoyed Botch's We Are the Romans, I'm going to recommend Converge's Jane Doe. There is before Jane Doe, and there's after Jane Doe. Not just for Converge, not just for metalcore, but for heavy music as a whole. Since this album's release in 2001, countless bands have tried and failed to match its chaotic heaviness and emotional intensity. This album is as devastatingly beautiful as it is frighteningly heavy. And once you hear it as a listener, you realize that there's before and after as well, because there's nothing that can compare to this. For me, this isn't just the best metalcore album of all time, it's my favorite album of all time, and one that opened the most doors for different types of extreme music. All right, that's the 5. Let me know what you think. If you check those out, let me know if you enjoy them, and stay tuned for 5 more to kind of progress off of this list. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more like this.